Yo, what is up, guys? It is Archimedes Aizen here, back at it again with another what if. Now, this what if is what if Naruto was Gojo's reincarnation. Now, basically, I did this series maybe 3 months back in June. So yeah, I just wanted to do this what if to see how much I progressed over time. So like, hey, I did shit what ifs back then. Do I still make shit what ifs? Probably. I mean, I'm not as good as other people. So basically, thank God did not make this thumbnail. Yeah, thank God. Don't expect that link. I mean, you're still getting it. But never mind. Without further ado, guys, let's get straight into the what if. Now, we pretty much start this what if when Naruto is born. Now, the whole Nine Tails attack would pretty much go the same since Naruto will not be directly interfering since he can't. He hasn't really mastered his limitless techniques yet. And I'll be linking a video to Rogex's video on limitless. Limitless in 3 minutes. That's the title. So I'll be linking that in the description. If I, remember, obviously. So basically, Naruto will be born, and he would have the white hair and blue eyes, or silver blonde. It's not like white; it's silver blonde, but I'll be calling it white. So basically, he's born with that hair color, and his parents are kind of like, they're like, yo, Kushina, did you cheat on me? No cap, did that happen? But nah, just kidding. They didn't say that, but after Naruto was born, Hiruzen's wife, I really don't remember her name. She's, since she's literally killed off later that episode or later that flashback. So, she would clean up Naruto, and then she would hand her over to Kushina, since the mother always holds the baby first. Man, I'm stuttering. I haven't made a what if in 3 days. It really affected me. I'm just kidding. But basically, once Kushina's holding Naruto, just for a few minutes before Hiruzen's wife would, come in, do some DNA test, stuff like that. And, she would have to take Naruto to a different room for that. So, in this meantime, in this, interval of time, Obito would pretty much come in with, the masked man or Madara, whatever alias you want to use. He would come in, assassinate Hiruzen's wife, take the baby, and then pretty much just walk in the room and have an explosive tag to Naruto's baby cloak, I guess you can say. I don't really know how to say it, baby blanket. And this would cause Minato to save Naruto, and it would leave Kushina kind of chilling there. So Kushina would get the Nine Tails ripped out of her after Obito takes her to this ceiling shrine. After Obito rips out the Nine Tails, he would force it into a summoning pact and then release it into the village. And all the canon events would go the same. Minato slamming the Rasengan into his back, then Minato sealing, the Nine Tails into Naruto. So, I ain't gonna use no Kohaku no Johei. I'm not Rogex, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna take his plot point, pretty much. And I'm not gonna make it where the Nine Tails kind of disappears into nothing. He's kind of just gonna be there. He's not gonna be used, but he's just gonna be chilling there. And he's not going to be affecting anything. So he's just going to be taking up space. So pretty much after the Nine Tails attack, Naruto would just be chilling for the next 4 years. So, and Naruto will be, kind of walking around. And for some reason, the villagers just don't like him. Number one, he already has white hair. Yeah, white hair and blue eyes, which is nobody in the whole village had white hair and blue eyes. You can probably say Tobirama, but that's kind of silver hair-ish, I guess you can say. I wouldn't really consider it the same hair that Gojo has. So he would already kind of be excluded just because of that. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. Everyone thought that he was just too good for the rest of them. Being too good is not good. Yeah, that's kind of contradictory. But once Danzo would pretty much say that Naruto's the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, it would just be even worse. People could not keep their hatred unchecked. So let's just say they tried to martyr Naruto. I can't really say martyred. If you guys don't know the definition of martyr, it's when you kill somebody based on their beliefs or who they are. So that's what it means, being martyred. So that's what would happen pretty much. And Naruto, for some reason, managed to survive every one of these assassination attempts or attempted murder, anything. And if you guys are wondering how did he survive it, it's just in every situation he would like forcibly evolve his cursed energy or his chakra. It's kind of the same thing, and it would just be right enough to survive. Right? Yeah, I said that right. So over these like the next 12 years, he would train these abilities so he can just do them more efficiently and do it without having to wait that much on the slower cooldown. So like for example, you can use a certain fire curse technique more than once a day, rather than his earlier he only used to do it once a day. So we'll actually time skip for around 12 years, and this time Naruto would have went to the academy when he was 12, and for the next 4 years he would have studied and graduated, because he has some access to chakra. Damn, bro, just something wrong with my English. I can't even talk properly. So pretty much, yeah. So he would learn curse techniques, learn limitless techniques. He would just master them. 12 years is a long time, so he definitely has a lot of time to learn those techniques. So pretty much in this time, Naruto also would have picked up the Jujutsu Kaisen outfit that Gojo wears. And he would have picked up the blindfold or the glasses. You can't really see through much because the 6 size is a very delicate dojutsu, I guess you can say. In that verse, it's technically like a dojutsu. I didn't mean to call it dojutsu, but it's kind of like sensitive, you would pretty much oversee things when you don't have something limited. So he would have that blindfold because it really like gave him a headache when he would see way too much. So the blindfold really helps him. So after the time skip, Naruto would get up that next morning, and he would put on his outfit and he would head towards the academy. Now today they were going to be doing their team selection, and everyone's quite excited. Which team are they going to get? What's going to happen? And pretty much once he would get there, he would walk in the academy and he would sit down. Now this timeline, Naruto would not be as goofy, but it's Gojo. Gojo's he has a good personality. He's funny. He can be funny, but he gets serious when it's needed. So once Naruto would walk in, he would go sit down next to Sasuke, and bro, he would just look around and he would get that vibe, that emo vibe. He would look and he would be like, he just doesn't like that vibe. But I mean, he doesn't care. I'm just going on a tangent at that point. So he would wait a few minutes, and Sakura and Ino would walk in, just like in canon. They would want to sit next to Sasuke, since I don't know why, but it's canon. All right, Kishimoto, I'm just using your canon. So they would walk in. They would want to sit next to Sasuke, but then they would realize like Naruto's sitting there, so they would just pick another seat. Now, usually in canon, they would just tell him off to get out the seat. But since this is what if Naruto was Gojo's reincarnation, and not gonna lie, he looking mad handsome, nobody's really gonna say anything. And he is the strongest in that class, so nobody's really gonna say anything either after that fact. So Iruka would walk in, start to explain to them what they'll be doing today. Pretty much, he's gonna tell them what their teams are. And he would start off from Team 7 all the way to Team 10. Team 7 will be Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and their sensei is Kakashi Hatake. Team 8 will then be Hinata, Kiba, Shino, and their sensei is going to be Kurenai. And then Team 10 will be Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru. And their sensei will be Asuma. So, pretty much after, Iruka would explain to them which teams they'll be on, Asuma and Kurenai would pretty much quickly pick up their teammates, like maybe 5, at the most 10 minutes. But Kakashi, he probably would have taken 2 hours to get there, and they would be pretty bored. Naruto would kind of just be taking a nap, and about 2 hours later, Naruto would then feel someone about to come in contact, or he's coming near their limitless, and it's his limitless, and it's a hostile act. That's what he's basically feeling. So he'd wake up and he would see a kunai stopping midair, and it would just fall down to the ground. Now this would be none other than Kakashi. He just wanted to see if Naruto was on guard, and he was. and he was kind of confused why the kunai just stopped midair, but it is what it is. So Kakashi would then pretty much see his team, and he would say they're pretty boring, and he would tell them to meet him upstairs at in the roof. So once they would get upstairs, Kakashi would start to explain to them what they'll be doing today, and he'll basically say, let's start off small and let's go with introductions. Name, likes, dislikes, and then your goal. First would go Sakura. She would pretty much say that she would just mumble. It's canon. We all saw how she basically mumbled the whole time, but everyone knew what her goal was, and her likes or dislikes, stuff like that. And then Naruto would go. Naruto would say, my name's Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are eating sweet things, since for some reason I've gained a sweet tooth. My other likes are training, eating ramen, and pretty much just having fun. If you guys don't know what I mean by fun, he just goes around literally having fun. He's not actually having that type of fun, but he's having fun. So he would say his dislikes are not having fun and not eating any sweets, and taking off his blindfold for more than an hour. So he would say his goal is to become the strongest, and he pretty much says that he already achieved this goal since he is the strongest. And pretty much Kakashi in his head would think, oh, Akaki won. And Sasuke would go about his goal, and he would say that the same usual goal, likes, dislikes as in canon, about his I don't have many likes, but I have a lot of dislikes, and my goal, it's not a goal, it'll become a reality, something like that. And then that would end the introductions. Kakashi would say his usual he would say this before the goals, say his usual, you don't need to know this, I have no goal, kind of like that. And he would start to explain to them that tomorrow they should meet him, or they will meet him, at Training Ground 7 at around 6 a.m. I recommend you probably come earlier, but if you can't, at least be there at 6. So he would disappear by Shadow Clone, or via Shadow Clone, and he would, Team 7 would head back to their homes. Naruto would just kind of run around the village, eating sweets, and just doing what Gojo usually does, going on, tours, I guess you can say. Gojo likes to go to different cities, so Naruto would literally kind of go around the Fire Nation, since he has a teleportation technique, and he would just look around. And then for the rest of the night, he'd do that for about an hour or two. It's not really hard since he can teleport almost everywhere. So about 2 hours later, he would then pretty much spend the rest of the night just training. And the next morning, he would wake up, eat breakfast, even though he kind of forgot the fact that Kakashi told him not to eat breakfast. But he knows that Kakashi is weaker and inferior to him, so he doesn't really need to worry about that. So once Naruto would get on his clothes, he would head towards the training ground, and once he would do that, he would see that his teammates are there, or his future teammates are there. He could then pretty much go and sit under a tree and just kind of take a nap, and he would wake up and kind of feel his senses tingling, as Spider-Man does. But he would wake up and he would sense Kakashi's presence in the tree. Now Naruto would just make a gun motion. I really like to do this in What Ifs, but he would make a gun motion, appear at Kakashi, and do a fake trigger, just playfully. And Kakashi would see this, and it was perfectly dead on. If this were a real jutsu or a weapon, like the Hazuki clan, this would go right between his eyeballs, or it would through his head pretty much. So Kakashi would then come down from the tree, and he would say that he was wondering when they were gonna sense him, but it took him that long. So Kakashi would start to explain to them what they would be doing that day. He'll be saying that we're doing a bell test. You take out 2 bells and start to explain that these, if you guys could take these bells from me, you'll pass and become part of Team 7. But then Sakura would say, hey, there's only 2 bells and there's 3 of us, and if we were expected to get 1 of each, then that wouldn't be possible. And pretty much everyone in her head would kind of be that we know that already. But Kakashi would tell them that only 2 of you will actually be passing, and 1 of you will be going back to the academy. Now, Naruto would not even be phased by this, nor would Sasuke. And Sakura would just be like Sakura, just chilling there. So Kakashi would start the bell test, and Naruto would just stand there, and he would appear behind Kakashi, throw a punch towards Kakashi. Kakashi would pretty much just like dodge, but he would still have his book out, but he would like to really. It was like a high diff dodge. That's what I'm trying to say. So Kakashi would then put away the book, and they would start to get into a fight with Naruto appearing behind Kakashi, and kind of like how Gojo did with Sukuna. He says, "I'm gonna show off here." He would then pretty much do a teleportation technique as Kakashi did a kick, and then Naruto would appear like behind him and kind of just like do a pseudo version of the lariat, creating a wind pressure that sends Kakashi into a tree, and basically Kakashi would turn into a log. The Kakashi would then come from under Naruto, go for an uppercut, but Naruto would kind of just like back up, and the uppercut would barely miss his chin. After this, Naruto would then gather all of his cursed energy into his hand before doing like a like not like a maximum curse output, but like a minimum, like the lowest he can do. He would then pretty much do blue, and then he would pretty much like punch it right into Kakashi. Now this would pretty much send Kakashi flying, like literally flying, not actually flying, but he'd get sent pretty far back, and it would pretty much create a crater, maybe the size of a mountain. Like he would land into the mountain, it would destroy the mountain. So once Kakashi recovered, they would like Team 7 or Naruto would go up to Kakashi, take the bells out. Then he would go to Sasuke and Sakura and give each of them a bell before he would go back to Kakashi, throw him over his shoulder, tie him to the log, and Kakashi would wake up to see Sasuke and Naruto and Sakura kind of flexing that they won. Now Kakashi would then explain to them that they passed, and then he would explain to them that they need to work on the teamwork, but they definitely got this. They definitely did not get carried by Naruto. But he would explain to them the purpose of teamwork and how those who abandon the mission are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Kind of the same, like the same message. That's what I'm trying to say. I kind of just like had a pause there. So Team 7 would pass, like in canon, and they would head back to their homes before Naruto would just kind of just chill for the rest of the night. Now the next morning, they would go meet up, and they would just start their month of doing D-rank missions. So in this month, they would probably do around 100 to 200 D-rank missions. They were just grinding. They were on that grind time. They probably did maybe 5 to 10 D-rank missions a day. So it was definitely grinding. So they would have gotten definitely a good amount of money for their age, and they would have had more time to train. They would have grinded all the D-rank missions in the morning, and for the rest of the day, they would have trained until sunset. Then they would have ate, and then they would have head back home. So this would have developed their teamwork skills, their actual jutsus or Naruto's curse techniques, and just in general, they would, have that glow up. So Team 7 would have improved individually at a good rate. Naruto would just be Gojo pretty much at that point. He would just be OP. Sasuke would have gotten his 2 Tomoe Sharingan, and Sakura would have just been Sakura. She would have definitely learned some elemental jutsu like water and earth style, and she would have learned how to kind of infuse her water style into her hand and kind of do like a pseudo version of the chakra infused punch. So it would have been okay. So yeah, after all these D-rank missions, Hiruzen would be quite amazed. They did this many D-rank missions. This many D-rank missions kind of multiplies. Like if they were to put together all the D-rank missions that Team 7 and Team 10 and Team 8 did, and if they multiplied by 5, it wouldn't even be the amount that they Team 7 actually did. So he would give them a C-rank missions, and he could probably tell that they're quite bored, and they're definitely prepared for something a little higher. So he would call them in, and he would give them the C-rank mission, and he'll explain to them that they'll be escorting a super bridge builder to the land of the waves, and they'll be fighting some bandits and some low rank ninja on the way, and that's it. So Tazuna would walk in, and you'll see that the team is quite strong. This is definitely enough to take not take down Zabuza, but enough to escort him at least. So he wouldn't really lowball them, like in canon, of course. So Team 7 would head out to the, after packing their stuff, they would meet at the village gates before heading out the village. Now, Team 7 would just be running through the village, or running like through, the outsides of the village. They gotta leave, of course. And about 3 hours later, they would pretty much be in the land of the waves. They would have been like just entering the land of the waves. So Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura and Kakashi would be walking, and then Naruto out of a sudden would he would then feel the presence of two people to like around 45 degrees to his right. Now he would look to that direction, and you would see that there's these people using a pathetic transformation jutsu, and it doesn't even match like the environment. Like he looks up and the sun is literally like blazing in his face. It's just it's like, what are you doing, Escanor? I'm just kidding. But basically, it was a pretty hot day, so the water should have evaporated, and yeah. So Naruto would have figured out, put two and two together, before he would just, casually walk by, pretended like nothing happened, and then the demon brothers would come out, and they would pretty much go for Kakashi. Now, right in the middle of that, their chain was about to like go around Kakashi. Naruto would have grabbed the chain by the middle, shattered the chain before grabbing the two edges of the chain, and then like with all his like enhanced strength, he would then like whip it back together. Not whip it, but like send it towards the middle. So the two demon brothers would smack against each other, and the chains would kind of like hit them, so they would get knocked out. Since Naruto uses enhanced strength with cursed, energy, so Naruto would knock out the demon brothers, and he would pretty much use like a pseudo version, a small version of the domain expansion, so he can get inside their mind and pretty much take the information for telling Kakashi that this mission isn't actually a C rank mission, it's actually an A rank mission, and they'll be seeing people like Zabuza, Momochi, and Gatto, and pretty much telling him what they'll be ready for, or what they'll be going into. So Kakashi would propose the idea that they could go back to the Leaf, or they could finish this mission. Now, Naruto or / Gojo, he wouldn't have a problem going on this mission. He gets to see strong people, test out his limitless techniques, and Sakura, seeing that Sasuke agrees, she would agree, and then Kakashi would agree because Team 7 agreed, and then it would head towards the land of the waves. Now, once they would get there, once they would pretty much get to the land of the waves, they would be walking through a forest when the mist would start to get really thick, and Naruto would sense there's chakra like forming this mist, and he would tell Kakashi this, and Kakashi would tell everyone to duck. And for some reason, this seems to be like a spot on timing, because a blade would start to fly through them, and it would have nicked their head off if Kakashi wouldn't have warned them. But obviously, Naruto would still be alive due to Limitless always being active. So Naruto would see this, and he would pretty much make like a blue, maximum output of curse energy, and then he would use blue. So he would use blue, and this would kind of like deflect the not deflect it, but he would bring it towards him. Then he would grab the blade before throwing it to the side. Now blue would have been OP, of course, and it would have helped him move the blade. So once he did this, Zabuza would pretty much land on the blade that lodged itself into the tree, since he threw it into a tree or near a tree. He wasn't really focusing; he was just trying to deflect it. So Zabuza would land on it, and he would be pretty impressed by Naruto's capabilities of catching the Executioner's blade. So once, Zabuza would have his monologue, him and Kakashi would have that similar fight that would go just like in canon, because Naruto being Gojo's reincarnation doesn't affect Kakashi, so Kakashi would still lose that fight, getting put into the water prison jutsu. Now after this, Naruto would realize that he wasn't even gonna ask Zabuza for help. Sasuke for help. So pretty much he would just realize he can do this by himself. He doesn't need his teammates, even though he could. But he's not being cocky. He's stating facts. He knows he's stronger than Zabuza. He doesn't need help. So Naruto would appear behind Zabuza with his transformation. teleportation technique, and he would go throw a punch at Zabuza. Now Zabuza is like water from that same puddle. There would have been some water left. It would form and make a water clone. The water clone would appear in front of him and try to block it, but when Naruto threw the punch, it literally went through the water clone. Like just destroyed the water clone, and then it would have punched Zabuza like in the rib area and the chest area. And Zabuza would have probably got sent flying, like skidding, like sliding against the bridge. So Zabuza would get his executioner blade and pretty much start to get into a fight with Naruto. Now Naruto did not have a weapon, so he would try his best to dodge whenever Zabuza swung. So the one time when Zabuza was swinging, he would then pretty much dodge it, like move to the right, and he would be open. So Naruto would quickly use a red to basically like push Zabuza's face off. Now he tried to do this, but when he would do this, obviously he would pretty much push Zabuza, but apparently he didn't put enough curse energy. Like every time he used this on someone else, it would have worked, but this time it didn't work, and he probably theorized that he underestimated Zabuza's power and he put too less curse energy into it, causing him to just get pushed back. So when this would happen, Zabuza would still get have his fight with Kakashi and still get pretty much every jutsu he does gets copied. So after Zabuza would almost die, Haku would save him by pretty much throwing 3 senbon into his neck, and Zabuza would pretty much fake his death, or his death would be faked. So Kakashi would pass out from overuse of the Sharingan, and pretty much they would recuperate in Tazana's house. Now for the next week, maybe 2 days, and then the week from then, so about almost 2 weeks, they would just be training and recuperating from the fight. So Sasuke realized that he didn't do much in the fight, so he needs to get stronger, because if he gets stronger than Naruto, or at least maybe even near as strong as Naruto, it could possibly be Itachi. So Sakura would kind of think something else. I guess she just wanted to be a strong ninja in general. So after the whole 2 weeks time skip, Kakashi would have taught Sasuke, water walking and, tree walking. So that would have been quite easy, since they already learned their semi-chakra control, so that would have been enough for that. And Naruto would have already known this. He's been training for 12 years. It's obvious. It's not that hard for him to learn tree walking or water walking. So he would just train by himself with his limitless techniques. Now, once he would head towards the bridge, they would kind of be waiting there for Zabuza and Haku, just like as, Kakashi theorized. So once they would pretty much get there, Naruto and Sasuke would get into the same fight with Haku, and Kakashi would settle their fight from last time with Zabuza, while Sakura would pretty much make an earth wall barrier around them, kind of like making a perimeter so nothing too bad happens. So Naruto, we'll do a flashback to the training. Now Naruto is about spending the whole night trying to expand his cursed energy to make his domain, since he needs to learn domain expansion. He needs to perfect it. He learns it. It's imperfect, but he needs to spread his curse energy so he can use it for longer than 2 seconds. So yeah, well, go back to Naruto's present time, and I wanted to tell you this so you can at least get some perspective on what Naruto's gonna do. So Naruto and Sasuke are pretty much on the offensive, doing punches, kicks, combination jutsus. Like Naruto would do a wind style with Sasuke doing a fireball, since it's not too hard for Naruto to learn a wind style jutsu. So pretty much Haku would get too pressed, and he would use the ice mirror jutsu. So he would get, oh my god, if I ever say she wrong, he would pretty much start getting way faster, and Naruto and Sasuke would it would be a little hard for them to keep up. So this would cause and Sasuke sacrificing himself to basically save Naruto. Naruto's limitless would have I don't really know how to explain this, but it wouldn't it would kind of stagnate for a few seconds. It would, due to Haku being as strong as he is. So it would there would be a blind spot for a few seconds, and the senbon was gonna hit Naruto, and Sasuke would get in, and then Haku would just keep throwing more senbon since he finally got one. So Sasuke would kind of get injured and look like he died. For Naruto would have like that emotional empowerment moment. Yeah, I said that right. And he would put his fingers up and do the Jujutsu Kaisen hand sign for domain expansion. It's kind of like the sign for releasing the Shauna clone. Now once he would do this, he would do the necessary hand signs before doing Yurichi Tenkai, Limitless Void, or Infinity Void, whatever translation you read. And Haku would kind of see like a blinding light before he would see like his eyes was like pretty much widening, and he would see like his brain just getting so much information that he couldn't even comprehend where they were. All he can see is the light and so much information going to his brain, almost a limitless amount of information. Now Gojo would explain that he pretty much has space-time manipulation, so this would pretty much cause him to send an infinite amount of information to your brain, so your brain slows down and you can't comprehend where you are. So he would then appear behind Haku, grab his head and rip it off, and like once the domain would pretty much fall down or like be released, all Kakashi would see, and Zabuza obviously, they would see Haku's head being in Naruto's head, and Haku's head and Haku's body would have been departed, if you know what I mean. So Naruto would have killed Haku, and he would pretty much have a few wounds, but for some reason they would just start healing. Now this would be Naruto's like reverse curse technique. If you guys haven't read the manga, it's like it can be used for high speed regeneration. Yuta has it, and Sukuna has it. Yeah. So he would use it. Then he would pretty much walk up to Sasuke, take out all the senbon, and then use reverse curse technique to basically heal him. So Sakura from afar would be quite surprised at this healing factor that Naruto has and can use on others, but she would still keep guarding the bridge builder. So Zabuza and Kakashi would have their same fight, with Kakashi impaling Zabuza with the Chidori. Now pretty much after that fight would go the same, Gato would come in and basically step on Haku's head and just be disrespectful in general. He's a colonizer, what do you expect? So he would just start taunting Haku's dead body, and Zabuza really couldn't do anything because he's dead. So Naruto, in tribute to those two, even though they tried to kill them, but it was only for a mission, he would pretty much put his two hands together, and he would make purple. Like he would make a maximum output maximum output technique blue, and then he would do maximum output technique red, and then he would mix it together doing the technique, and then he would pretty much raise his hand before doing Murasaki, or purple. I think that's what Murasaki means. And then pretty much after once the smoke clears from the attack, all you would see is nothing. Everyone got turned to nothing. Then it would pretty much turn around and do yada yada, yada I think it is, but it means good grief, I think. So he would turn around and he would pick up the bodies and seal it into a sealing scroll, since he literally killed an S rank ninja. So he's gonna get the dough. So after the Land of the Waves would end, Naruto would give the money from Gato's industries, and he would give it to the village, and that would help in them becoming an independent from the Mist Village, and the Mist Village doesn't seem to care about them. So after Naruto would help, he would be called a hero, and he would be put in the Binga book for killing Haku and Zabuza. It was kind of like a mistake since Kakashi killed him, but everyone thought that Naruto killed him, or everyone else that wasn't there thought that Naruto killed Zabuza. So after the mission would happen or would occur, Naruto and the rest of Team 7 would head back to the village, and they would kind of recuperate before Naruto would be informed by Kakashi, and Kakashi would also inform Sasuke and Sakura that they'll be doing the Chunin exams. So pretty much, this will actually be the end of this part. I usually would do a movie special. I don't think I said I would do a movie special. You guys are tripping if you thought I was. It's kind of hard because there's just a lot of detail I want to put in. If I were doing a movie special, it'd probably be around maybe 2 hours. So I want to make this into 3 parts. So yeah, I don't want to do too many parts because you know, the more parts you have, the less views it gets. So I gotta think about it as a long term. I gotta be like Xehther. So basically, sorry about that tangent I went on, but without further ado, guys, I'm gonna head out now. So peace.